Everybody, welcome to Miller Homes Group Happy Hour, MHG Happy Hour. We're proud to have you here today. We're at Hobbies in Tyler, Texas, because we support local businesses and we love putting money back in our community. And the reason we're doing this today, we want to bring you what's going on in the Texas market, more particular the East Texas market, some of West Texas. We got a West Texas in here, and we want to let you guys know that we're here to make your buying and selling experience so much better than you ever thought it could be. Now for the introductions. On the end down here, we have my lovely wife, Denise Miller. Next to her, got Amy Garcia with the Viva Realty Group. She's the regional director of our bilingual group. Then we have Heidi Hitt with the notorious hit list. My gosh, they're amazing. She was our Realtor of the Year last year for all of Miller Homes Group with her first year here. And to be that, you have to be involved in the community, you have to have fantastic numbers, and she was number one. All of these things stack up to make Realtor of the Year. We have our West Texas regional right here, Linda Lewis. She runs everything west of, I guess, downtown Tyler. We'll just we'll call it that. Kind of the way it works, okay? Vice President in charge of growth, expansion, recruiting, and anything else I throw on her. Right here we have Brittany Morton. Then we have the lovely Amber Bolden. She is a lender. We brought her because we want you guys to always know what's going on in the financial market. So we brought Amber in today, so when we get to the buyers section, she's going to be talking an awful lot about what's going on there. Then we have our regional director for all of East Texas, Renee White, and she's also a top producer in her company. Folks, you're looking here, when you look at this table, you're looking at over $45 million worth of production in your market. They know exactly what you need to sell your house, get all the dollars, or give you the opportunity to buy your dream house at the best price possible. Okay, guys, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Our first happy hour, I can't thank you guys enough for joining us. Everyone here, y'all took out of a busy day. I know Heidi had listings appointments. Renee is running from here in just about an hour and a half. She is going to be sprinting out the door in the rain. Got a listing appointment an hour away or buying appointment an hour away. Nice. I want to talk, first we're going to talk about something that I'm seeing in the market today, and I'm going to start with Heidi Hitt of the Hit List because, I mean, you dominate the Longview area. Your locals love us, get you every year. You came in new to us and just dominated. And because of, you're all about community, you're all about taking care of your customers, and you built a team, I call them assassins because they just get it done. They just get it done, and the customers are always happy. And so I think we've missed, and everybody will talk about this, but Heidi, I've seen a bunch of higher end listings that the Hit List has done. I think we've missed because of COVID and some of the things that have gone on. I think we've missed a couple of marketing turns. So I think if a seller has a very good property, there's a chance that it sells quick for good dollars, okay? And that's also an advantage for the buyer, which we'll go into in a little while with Amber. But I think it sells for good dollars. And the reason I want to point out to you, I see you list them. You love to put listings on Thursday or Friday for the weekend. And then I see them under contract on Monday, like sometimes within 24 hours, but several within 3-4 days.
Well, and I've seen you pick up a lot of listings that have sat stagnant on the market, and your marketing plan has turned that around and brought the buyers. So I've recognized that in your marketing too.
I got to ask from a seller's point of view, okay, do you agree we've missed some marketing turns and it's presenting those properties right? And what do you think? Is it professional pictures, attitude, or is it just a combination of things?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, but we did have a slowdown, I would say, probably in the month of April. And then in May, we started seeing it pick up some more. But I think that it is definitely, well, I wouldn't say it's just a seller's market, it's also a buyer's market. But
exactly,
we really don't have that many listings, and so if you price it right and you have great pictures, you do everything you should do to list your house, no clutter, all of the things you should do, and if it's marketed correctly and priced right, that's the really important thing, is it will sell, and you'll probably possibly get multiple offers as well.
You're doing a lot of that, and what I think we've missed listing cycles because like in April, February and April, we missed 2 full listing cycles, or maybe got 20% of them. And so that doesn't mean it's a bad buyer's market. I'm going to drag her in here in a minute, and we're going to talk about that. Because buyers, well, I'm going to drag her in now. Okay?
Good, because I have things I want to say now.
Because just step in, okay? But the thing about buyers is, with interest rates where they are, they can afford to buy that nicer house and get that house and retain that equity down the road. Am I right?
Absolutely. That's what I was going to kind of follow up with is you have buyers who are maybe qualified to buy 150, 160, that now that where we're seeing rates, they may have used their stimulus money or saved up money during the situation if they were still working to put more of a down payment, so they're purchasing higher properties, they're purchasing more expensive properties. We're also seeing that rates, we're expected to see rates stay here for the next 18 to 24 months. We don't expect them to jump back up. It's really expected that this is going to be a 1 to 2 year process of these great rates. So as we continue to have buyers, they're going in multiple offer situations. They're usually offering over asking price for your sellers if it's priced correctly and if it's listed correctly, just because there's not as many listings out there. And you kind of said the same thing. I don't know if we've necessarily on the lending side seen a slowdown because we've had refinances to kind of pick up some of that where
It's filled in the gap where we were trying to figure out where we were.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I see what you're saying and what you're saying with multiple offers. In the last 2 weeks, every offer that I've presented has had a competing offer on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just, it's bananas, right? I mean, it's a great time to list your house because there's not enough inventory.
Well,
it really is. I have 2 buyer's agents on my team, and what they are dealing with is, I would say probably 75% of the calls they get about a property that someone has seen on Zillow or Realtor, when they look it up, it's already under contract. So
yeah, we're seeing that a lot is because Zillow and all those are behind, and that stresses the importance of going to your real estate agent and getting on an MLS drip campaign so you see them when they're new.
absolutely.
And kind of with that too is, I know I may be a little more strict than some other lenders when it comes to documentation and things like that. I know Brittany's dealt with it with me, but I don't disclose a loan until I have all the documents up front to keep from chasing everything down. But the biggest portion of that is because if they love this house and Heidi has this house listed and they love it and it went on the market Friday, by Monday it's probably gone. You said it, Heidi said it. And so if I don't know for sure that they're pre-approved and we don't have all their documentation and then their overtime doesn't work out, we can't use it. Now they're back to square one. We're buying a $250,000 house.
Yeah, and we don't want to waste everybody's time and make an agent mad or somebody like that.
Well, and you want to be able to say with the offer, they've been through pre-underwriting. Like all of their stuff is there, they're good.
Yep, they've already. And with all the COVID changes, it benefits with that too.
I was about to say with COVID, I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but the buyers that we've had the last several months have been stronger buyers because the people that are buying right now are in we do still see some fallout with employment situations, but the majority of our business that's been written up has been strong, qualified buyers. So for sellers to be fearful of putting their house on the market, I think now is actually probably the best time, simply because they're more thoroughly qualified. Your guidelines got stricter. There's some things to consider.
Right, and you're going to have multiple offers on your house versus waiting and waiting for an offer.
Right.
You're going to sell it.
I truly believe when you said it's not really a buyer's or a seller's market, I'm really there because there's just so much potential.
Yeah, Heidi said it, and I absolutely agree with her. It's not necessarily a seller's market. What makes it a seller's market? It makes a seller's house. There you go. Is the house in good shape? Is the yard in good shape?
Sure.
Have you kept? There's no deferred maintenance. Is everything good? Did the realtor go out and take professional pictures? And I see this with Renee and with Heidi. It doesn't matter if it's a $130,000 house or a $1.3 million house. They spend the money and go get professional photographers.
100%.
It is going to show its best and draw the best money in the market. And guess what? The buyer doesn't want to see cruddy pictures either.
Right.
I almost said a bad word.
And
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Especially with all the COVID going on, it's so important to do virtual tours.
Yeah, so everything needs to be good.
Yeah, so many buyers still don't want to get out and go look at homes. So I have 3D tours of my homes, and I'll have video, and of course always professional photography. And I think that that people really appreciate that. We've also, my buyer's agents have even been doing FaceTime videos, or just video it if the person doesn't have FaceTime, and just send the video of actually touring a home that someone's thinking about buying. So we've been doing a lot of that.
I know that what I'm seeing, and Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't compete against you guys at all.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing in the market, I do kind of hear from you guys and all that, especially like regional directors and top producers. That's where what I'm seeing is if a customer puts a house on the market, it's clean, available, it's move-in ready, okay? And the pictures are done well and everything's done professionally, that market time is nothing. Am I pretty much to speak of?
I just listed one in Gladewater 2 days ago, and I'm getting an offer on it. I mean, tonight.
What's the price point on that one?
125.
Perfect price
125,
point.
and
I mean 125.
But I'm
is
seeing
like
that, okay,
hotcakes.
in the under 200, we're seeing that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm seeing that in the stuff in the 350 to 500 range as well,
Absolutely
aren't we?
moving.
I'm
Probably
seeing
more
more
than ever.
competition in 250 and up.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of, well, and that's because they can afford more now. The interest rate's
Yeah.
down.
And to follow up with that too, with the higher price point, you're seeing more qualified buyers. We're seeing equity increase in homes. I actually did a video the other day, and it was specifically talking about the fact that I had a buyer who bought their home 26 years ago, and they spent $200,000, and now she's doing a refinance to take some cash out, and the home value close to $900,000.
Oh, goodness.
In a 26-year term. Now, she did repairs, there were things done, but for the most part, it was sitting on that home. And I don't think people really realize appreciation. We're seeing a lot of sellers do that now, too, because rates are expected to stay this way for the
Stable,
next
they're
18
stable,
months.
they're
Yes.
stable, yeah.
People are taking cash out, and they're going to fix. So for your sellers who are getting ready to list their house, we have a lot of a lot of clients who are taking cash out, using that equity, get the home ready, and then they plan to turn around and sell it. And that $60,000 they spent to update it, they've already spoken with their realtor. They've already gotten that guidance. So they said, okay, I can make $120,000 more by doing these updates and getting this house marketable, or whatever the number was.
Denise and I fall into that category. We had an incredible 3 months, largely thanks to everybody at the table here. So instead of taking money out and going on a vacation where they were going to quarantine us for 14 days, we added onto the driveway and added a sidewalk and ordered a hot tub.
Nice.
Party at your house.
It looks good.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was my busiest month during all the COVID.
Yeah, we had our April was our biggest month too.
Now I want to go down, and Amy, you're going to have to speak up for us, okay? Amy heads the bilingual, which is largely Hispanic. Okay, by bilingual, we're not talking about German in East Texas. Okay, tell me how the Hispanic market has been in the first half of this year, because we're at the halfway point.
Yeah.
Tell me how the Hispanic market has been.
Oh no, I mean, I think with that, it's more of a trust building a relationship. But most of my clients, I've been doing this for almost 8 years now, and my clients from previous year when I first started are coming back and reselling. I had one last month that he purchased 2 years ago for under $100,000, $99, let's say that. It sold for $150 and it appraised.
So he gained a 50%.
50, and he went and bought a 200 and above price range house. I mean,
And that,
all that equity that was there, yes.
well, and here's the deal. East Texas has been correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys are the ones in the field. East Texas has been largely undervalued for years, hasn't it?
Yes.
Your husband's a builder. You're a builder. Okay, y'all seen this. People come, buying new homes. I mean, stuff that we would build in East Texas for $160, $70 a foot. Any place else is $225.
Oh, easy.
Easy. Okay. West Texas.
That's what I was going to say, working in different markets.
You're West Texas. Lubbock, Midland, Odessa. Lord knows, we'll probably be in Abilene, San Angelo in a week and a half. I don't know. But anyway.
Maybe throw an Amarillo out there.
Yeah.
You're out in the Dust Bowl.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
exactly.
Are we seeing the same? I know things inflated out there because of the oil boom, but we haven't seen a slowdown.
Well, it's a little bit different of a situation in West Texas than what you see in East Texas, because there wasn't really a COVID effect on the
Right.
market as much as the oil and gas whenever the fall of oil and
Yeah,
gas.
when it hit zero, everybody went home.
But I still am having agents in Midland putting in competing offers. So I know that there's still a lot of
Demand there.
there's a lot of approved buyers that want to buy in that area, and then Lubbock is just
it's insane.
it's insane.
Our agents in Lubbock right now, it's I'm just leave it alone. It's insane.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Now we've got regional directors here, so y'all deal with complaints. We have vice president deals with complaints, lender, our top producer. We have what we're seeing is the problem that we have. Oh God, how do I say this without making everybody mad? Okay, we have agents who are not with Miller Homes Group that don't get trained all the time. So they're not trained on how to do competing offers, so they get emotion into it. They think they're entitled to, okay, it's up to the seller which offer they take, right?
Yes.
And it's up to the agent to present all offers.
It's up to the agent to present the offer. So we run into that emotion sometimes, especially with newer agents. We actually had an experienced agent the other day ask us why we even presented an offer when she knew she had one coming in 4 days later. And our agent went, "Are you kidding me? We have to present all offers," and we've been told before. So, guys, what do we want to stress to our sellers and buyers? The importance of working with the right professionals, whether it be lenders, okay, or it be us. What do you think,
Can I
Hattie?
follow up? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think part of it too, and it may not just be the agent, and not taking it away from how it's presented and stuff, but a lot of it is getting that pre-approval before. I know that
absolutely.
Every person here at this table has told their clients to get pre-approved first, because it is heartbreaking if you fall in love with a house at $250,000 and you qualify for $140,000, and you've spent all this time looking and you've gotten your agent out there showing you houses, and then you're pushing for an offer that's just not qualified, and it's just not where you're at. And so you said the same thing. You get people who are upset and get emotional because it's such an emotional thing for your buyer, that when you have strong agents who say, "Hey, if you get pre-approved first, we can go ahead and have this offer secure. When our offer goes in, we know that your financials have been reviewed, your pay stubs, and we can state that," the sellers are just going to feel a lot more comfortable.
I'll tell you this, and we have some hosses here at the table as far as production when it comes to real estate. When you get competing offers in, and it's from a lender an agent that you can work with, okay? Pre-approval letter is stone cold, like it's from one of the, we have several lenders that are good, it's like it's from her, so you know the pre-approval is actually a pre-approval. And the other offer is, I'm sending them to their lender on Monday. So tell me which one's going to get approved.
The one that we like, the one we like the agent.
Yeah, and they're both the same.
Right.
So you look, wait a minute, this one's all bundled up and it's neat and we're ready to make an offer.
Ready to go.
So be ready. When you're in a competitive market, you need to put a bow on it, don't you?
I have something to say about lenders.
Go.
Is that I can't stress enough. And you said shop local.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Hands down.
Shop
Absolutely.
local lenders, because I had 2 closings, and one took 4 months and the other one took 6 months, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Because they shop internet lenders.
Oh, you're done.
And when they do that, and I'm telling them, you need to be able to walk in someone's office and look them in the face.
I call it hands around your neck. You got to be able to get a hold of them.
Yes, because in the lenders that are local, they close 30 days or before, and not 4 months. And that's
I want to
so
add
important.
to what you're saying in that.
Oh,
because
everybody,
there are
please.
local branches of Bank of America and Wells Fargo. They are not local lenders.
No, they're not.
They will. I've never had one close.
Me either.
They've fallen, for one reason or another, with Wells Fargo, that they just will not close.
I don't want to throw any particular bank under the bus, but it is, I'm going to follow Terry's lead and just say what the truth is.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is.
Big box lenders.
When you're looking at, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
Big box
absolutely right.
lenders.
Yeah.
When you're working with a mortgage banker or mortgage company that specifically works mortgage, we don't care about CDs, we don't care about deposits, and then you get a big box lender that has their hands in everything, it makes it a lot harder for them to specialize in that one thing. And a perfect example of local is leaseholds. You know, we have a lot of leaseholds around here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not familiar with it.
There's not. And even underwriters within my company, I'll be honest, they've had issues understanding a leasehold. They're in Kansas City or they're in New Jersey and they're like, what is this? And so we will go to one of our Texas underwriters and she says, oh, this is common. This is what it is. Yeah, we can use it. It's this long. But I think it's really just the difference in understanding, just specializing in one thing rather than having 50 hats. Having someone who's licensed, I mean, there's a difference in a mortgage banker at a bank and a mortgage banker at a company. So it's a huge,
and we have
huge difference.
We do have a couple of local banks that we have as resources. You know them, and we know them.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, and I'll say this: I've said it before on tape. If you come to me with a pre-approval from Chase or Bank of America, and I have to sit down and my seller asks me, I'm going to tell my seller we don't really have an offer here. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say this ain't worth the paper it's written on. It is not going to close on time. And I'll tell you something else. You have at Miller Homes Group, we don't take money from anybody. No lender gives us money. We don't take from anybody. And here's the reason, okay? If you have to pay somebody, a realtor, to present your product, okay, you're probably not going to be closing on time a lot of times, and they have a vested interest that isn't yours.
That's right.
Our agent's vested interest is who?
The client.
The client. And there's a reason for that. We invited Amber today, and there'll be another realtor. We've got Seth and who she works with. We have several others that we have about 5 lenders that are really, really good that we want to have on board with us doing this thing, because what we want to do is we want to show the public that A, it is complicated to buy a house, but B, we make it simple. Am I right?
Well, and I think, too, to piggyback off all of that, and I know every realtor at this table will agree, you need to be pre-qualified before anyone really even opens a home for you.
Now,
I mean, especially now more than ever, to respect the market, respect the seller. When you're asking sellers to displace their families for hours to do showings, you're asking a realtor to drive, 90 to 150 mile round trip. We love that, but we want you to do your part. Don't put the cart before the horse. Trust us when we tell you, get pre-approved, because when you fall in love with that house, and you have to wait to get pre-approved, and it's multiple and best, you're already 10 steps behind.
Someone else is going to
you lose.
And then they're mad at us because we couldn't work magic.
Right.
And so as a professional, please trust your realtor, trust your professional to guide you through the steps and listen to what they're telling you.
I had a call from a buyer. Most of you guys take care of me. I had a call from a buyer last week. Was asking me if Miller Homes Group would give them another realtor to work with. Why? Well, I've made offers on 3 houses and we hadn't gotten any of them. I said, I'll be back with you. I called the agent. They're in the under $200,000 price range. They're offering under list price and asking for closing costs. I called them back and I said, we don't have a single agent that can help you under those kind of terms. The market dictates what it is. Well, I'm not going to overpay. No, you're not overpay. Things are appreciating monthly,
10
weekly,
to 12%
daily.
per year right now.
and that's
at
where your
least.
lender comes in too on appraisal. I mean, if we're explaining to a buyer, that's what protects you. That's what makes sure that you're not overpaying for this house. I think that understanding comes in there too. I think a lot of people don't really realize what each part of the process is. They don't realize what their inspection does for them. They don't realize what their appraisal does for them, what their survey does for them.
Yeah.
And they just say, okay, I have to have all these things. And they don't really realize unless it's explained to them.
Because they have family members that want to try to help, but their family member's not the professional. And so when you, as a realtor, are working for your client and you've got uncles and aunts and grandparents and parents that love their kids, they want them to make a great purchase, but they're giving them old advice, outdated advice. Maybe they haven't been in the market in 20 years. It's a different market. And so...
and everybody here, Renee, Heidi, Amy, tell me how much the business has changed in the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Tremendously.
Not the last 3 or 4 months, the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Our contracts change all the time, don't they?
Well, I mean, you just said your buyer a few years ago, his house has already appreciated 50%.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was just sitting on it. I mean, yeah, he kept it up and everything, but it's nothing major that would make that, it's just the market. And buyers, especially first-time home buyers, I mean, even from, like you said, family, they say, well, try to negotiate this. I'm like, look, at least if we want to get some help with closing costs, then we have to even give them what they're asking or go a little bit above the asking price.
And our
make it
job is to help people reach their real estate goals.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to give you bad advice. If we tell you you need to get pre-qualified, it's not because we're being stingy or any.
Right.
It's this is what's best for you, the client, and that's what we're always. I mean, I know everybody at this table at least is always focused on client care.
Denise and I were primarily listing agents. Okay.
Yeah.
If you brought me an offer in this market as a listing agent with no pre-approval, and you filled out the third-party financing addendum, I'm going to go, how'd you fill this out? Are you a lender?
Right.
Okay, because it has financial information. So you're bringing me, if you bring me an offer, put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Okay, put a bow on it where I look at it and go, okay, they did this offer in a way to get this offer accepted or with a minimal counter, right?
Right.
And so what we're looking for there is, you got a house, they know it's in a competitive market, it's highest and best, they offer $3 or $4 grand over, they don't ask for any closing costs, owner pay the title policy, $550 home warranty. You look down at the lender, it's Amber, somebody we know. Look at the title company. It's not a title company that a realtor's got their finger in making money on. It's an actual title company that stands alone and doesn't pay money or do anything like that with anybody else. So you look at that and you go, well, this guy this agent wrote this up so it couldn't be turned down.
Right.
Yeah.
He is really looking out for his customer.
Covered every basis.
He covered every base, and you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. That's basically what it's about. When it comes to negotiate, some of these agents, it's a $180,000 house. They'll send you a $150,000 offer. Go away.
Can I bring up a different kind of side of it?
Yeah, go.
And this is more like directed because I know how many listings that you get, and whenever you're looking at different offers. Different sellers are motivated by different things.
Absolutely.
Sometimes money isn't, obviously it's going to be a big factor.
Right.
But maybe how many days they have to move could be a bigger motivating factor. So whenever if you're the listing agent and you have a buyer's agent that communicates that to you, hey, what's the motive? You can't discuss the other offers. But I might be able to say, well, my clients don't have to get out of where they're living for like 60 days. So if I put a buyer, instead of possession upon closing and funding, I did a temporary lease, would that help? You could answer yes. Right. So it's also important that you know that your realtor, who is your buyer, if you're a buyer, that your realtor's asking the right questions and can get along with the listing agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so important.
So
It's just communication.
The biggest advertised names are not always the best to work with.
Well,
Period.
and Renee and I have had this conversation about people negotiating, and I know Denise and I have had this. Be careful whose money you're spending the way you negotiate, because the commission you would have made, the 2.5-3% you would have made, is far cheaper than what you're going to cost your client if you negotiate in bad faith.
Yeah.
So remember, the goal is to get the people in the house or to get the seller to sell the house. I'm going to give you an example of what she just talked about. Dallas right now, if you had a $175,000 house, what do you think it'd be how long do you think it'd be on the market?
Negative 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. It's already
Sold
gone.
before it was already gone.
Before it was listed.
Well, we had called out a professional photographer. For 2 days later, I had to call him and tell him it had 4 contracts on it. Don't bother coming.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, I put an MLS with a few good pictures, but nothing great. And here's how they bought the house. How the investor bought the house. He said, "Here's the situation. You're going to get plenty of offers on this house." And then everybody went, yeah. I'm going to buy it and close it, and I'm going to let you stay in it for up to 90 days for a $400 deposit.
No lease back.
No lease back fee. It's just $400. That covers my taxes on it. I'm going to let you stay in it because I'm going to remodel it, but you will have the money you were going to make to go shop for your house.
You got to shop. Yeah.
Wow.
They looked at all offers. We were $5 grand less. Guess which offer they took?
But they had 3 extra months to make an educated decision instead of a rushed decision.
You have to be able to think outside the box.
I helped our agent put a big bow on top of that thing, and that way, if they're like, well, if we have to move over and rent something, and we have to do this, and then we have to move twice, and then we have to do this,
They have time.
They started adding it up. Our offer wasn't $5 grand less.
Right.
We're actually offering better.
Because if they made a quick decision and got what they didn't want, it could have cost them more in the long run. So.
And
I think kind of to piggyback off of that, you said something about your goal is to be, what was it?
My goal is to help my clients reach their goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So reach their real estate goals. And so it's kind of the same thing we say is, mine's to help people reach their financial goals and build financial wealth, whether it's in a home, which we all know sitting at this table is the best way
Absolutely.
to build your financial wealth.
Oh, absolutely.
But also whether it's taking cash out to do repairs, whether it's to get a house ready to sell, because you may have had a house that you owned and you've never touched and it's falling apart, and you're saying I could sell it for $60,000 or I could take this out and do that. But you said something a minute ago and you said, remember whose money you're spending.
Yeah.
And it's such a big part when it comes to the lending side that I think a lot of lenders don't realize is we're still costing our clients money.
Absolutely.
I mean, the time, if the closing doesn't make it on time, they're paying for it somewhere, whether they're paying to stay in their
It's hidden in there.
apartment,
It's in there somewhere.
they're paying to extend their contract. And I think that's such a big deal whenever you said you trust that lender, you know that lender. It also makes it a good offering point. If I know that me and Brittany are working a deal or working with a client that has given me all their documents, I've looked at everything, there's no crazy income, no surprises, we're not trying to finagle anything in, then we know if she's at a multiple offer situation and she calls me and says, Amber, can you close this in 29 days? Can you close it in 26 days? Yes, I can make it happen. And that's a huge negotiating point to say we can have this done by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Because it checks all the boxes.
That's right.
And you have a lender. How do you have a lender that'll do that?
I do.
Yeah, you have a lender that'll get that done.
Yeah.
And
I
know Renee does.
telling
And
that to
everybody
the
does.
agent that I'm offering to. That our agent is on it. And we don't have to worry about anything falling through the cracks because the lender you choose is so important.
Yes, it's like, do you want to close in 3 months or do you want to close in 30 days or less?
And how
exactly.
stressful that is when you're in a contract that long, the emotions that get drugged for everybody involved, the realtor.
Stress.
Our job is to take care of our clients, and when we can't deliver because of a failure to perform on an internet lending side, they chose that lender, and you want to honor that choice because it is their choice. But when we advise you guys, please go local. It's not because we get anything out of it other than a great transaction. And that's what we ultimately want.
Third party finance, we're filling in how many days for final loan approval, 21,
we can't
28.
protect them when it takes that long.
And some of that has to do with the house. It has to appraise, but it's also on the buyer. Is their financing going to fall through? That should not happen.
Right.
That should not happen. That if the lender, like you said before, does their homework in the very beginning and make sure that person actually really is qualified to buy, then you're not worrying about your 7 days from closing and the loan completely falls apart and the buyer backs out and gets their
I can tell you how that happens, and I'm sure Amber will agree with me. When we send a file to Amber, Seth, who's your lady again? I forget.
Tara.
Okay, when we send them, they get it in and they start working on it right then, and they get the bulk of the work out of the way right then.
Yeah.
When you send it to a big box lender, they're like, oh, well, I got the pre-approval letter. When's the closing date?
They don't underwrite till the week before.
The week before, they pull it out, and then they start conditioning. Well, in the meantime, these people think they have bought a house for 4 weeks.
Yes, they do.
And they've posted it and they've shared it and they've told their family and they've packed
They've been given gifts. They've been given.
I'll give you a great example of
So
this. I had a client the other day who's been under contract for 3 weeks. They just moved their stuff over to me yesterday. 3 weeks with an online lender, and their realtor asked them to call me in the beginning, and they said, we have someone here, and they wanted to go with their lender, and it was fine, and they get 3 weeks in and realize that the lender hasn't looked at their income at all.
No.
Hasn't qualified it. So then the husband or co-borrower was, he gets paid per load. He's a driver, so his pay's a little bit different. So they start saying, well, we want your offer letter. So they call me, and he's been there 17 years. So in 17 years, you would assume he's not going to have that offer letter, and it's not really going to make sense. We send over that verification of employment, get his income broken down before we even took an application.
Yeah.
Said, yes, we can use this much of his income, send me the rest of your stuff, moved it over, got appraisal order today, everything's moving forward, it's already gone to underwriting. But the difference is someone waited 3 weeks in, he's out of option. He was the day before his financing period expired to tell him, we don't understand how to calculate your income. We don't think we can do it.
That happens.
So they didn't look at the file up front, but I'm going to give you an example with her. I called her because I was helping. Who was doing the loan? She was helping me with a loan, and it was when COVID first started and nobody really knew what was going on. I talked to you at 8:30 at night. You were in your pajamas.
Stay that way.
Yeah. And you were like 8:30 at night. Well, guess what? These other lenders, they went home. Or they go home at 5. They have the lunch bucket mentality. I'll be like, hey, what's going on with this? And my phone will ring. She'll say, here's what's going, here's what's happening. But I will tell you this. If you're a buyer, and I'm looking straight at the camera, okay? If your lender asks you for something before noon, get it to them that day. If it's afternoon, it needs to be waiting on them the next morning. Loans, if you use a good local lender, the reason you don't close on time is your fault because you spent 3 or 4 days getting them stuff. And what happens is, well, it's important, but they may be working with 20, 30, 40 files, and the people who respond the fastest get the service. But when you delay 2 days, you just delayed your closing 3 or 4 days.
I think I absolutely agree. And I think that part of it too is having a good relationship with your agent. The agent that's working.
Get it from
Well, and I ask my clients in the beginning when I work a pre-approval, and I know that y'all know this, I will say, are you okay with me copying your realtor on this email? And they say, absolutely. I'm going to copy them on emails going forward. But it also keeps you in the loop. If I'm waiting on one pay stub, and you know that I've asked for this pay stub 6 times because it happens. And it's not everybody. It just, people get busy and life happens. But if you know we're waiting on that one thing and I've copied you on it, when that client meets you for that final walkthrough 3 days before closing or 2 days before closing, and you know I'm still waiting for that pay stub, you can say, Mr. So-and-so, can you get me that now? I'll get it to Amber tonight, and let's try to.
There's not a
such
single
a good point.
There's not a single person at this table won't drive and get it from them.
I would get it for
I mean, the house is the single most important purchase that you'll ever make in your life. Give it the determination and that it needs. And down here at the end of the table.
All eyes on you, Mrs. Miller. Lovely Mrs. Miller. Miss Beautiful.
Miller Homes Group. This lady down here does compliance for everybody.
Yeah.
Years ago, I can remember us praying that 25 deals a month. Man, what that would be great. Now we're closing 150 deals a month, and she's still doing it.
I know, right? Yeah.
So, guys, give her a big hand. Tell me what you're seeing. Are you seeing buyers and seller paperwork coming through pretty tight now? Good, clean offers?
Yes, there's a lot of contracts that are coming in right now that have very little emails back from me. So that's a good thing. That means you guys are putting your paperwork in right the first time. There are a couple in the beginning of COVID that pushed, and then there was some that fell out. But I'm not seeing that now. No. Because it piggybacks.
We all agree that once we got our footing and figured out the lay of the land, we could run again.
Well, I think buyers were just backing out for fear of all of it, and then they circled back around.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of that.
It piggybacked off of what Brent said earlier, as far as when they were looking in the beginning. You didn't know what to expect, and now we have people that are out shopping. They're buying. They're not looking at.
Yeah, not a lot of tire kickers out there right now.
No, there's really not.
There's not enough inventory to be a tire kicker.
And I've even had to explain to some buyers that get a little frustrated, that don't want to get pre-approved, especially now more than ever. I mean, always is the standard, but now more than ever, to respect the sellers that are taking the risk to allow their homes to be marketed. Get pre-approved. Don't ask an agent or a seller with children or anyone to displace families or drive around if you're not going to. During a pandemic of all times.
Let's
use that as an.
I'm telling you.
I don't show houses without.
I don't either.
I don't. There's no
right
sense.
now.
Right now, you cannot show anything without pre-approval.
No.
All right, now I got Amy down here. She's real good at getting quiet and sneaky. Okay. Amy, I've noticed the same thing with you that I've noticed with Heidi. You have listings that you hit the market with that are immediately sold. Are you seeing that if they're priced in the market, not on the market?
There is a difference.
There's a difference.
Major
In the
difference.
market is right here. On the market, it means it's too high, okay? If they're priced in the market where things are selling, are you finding that we're in a bidding war in the community that you deal with?
Oh yeah, and I think it's also, like you said, you have to pick up your realtor wisely. There's some agents that try to take advantage of the market right now, and you're like, oh, this is overpriced, but they're so little inventory that buyers are like, yeah, let's dump in it and let's just offer full price. For example, I have a listing coming up. It's going to be right under the 180. And I have agents call me, do you have anything coming up, this price range? I mean, I know as soon as that goes to the market, it's going to be gone. It's not going to last. Yeah,
Exactly. To what you said too, though, because buyers are scared of overbuying. So with that being said, the appraisal will, and we have seen appraisals come in low.
The lender and the
Because if
appraiser.
you're trying to over purchase,
The lender and the appraiser is your
That is
protection against
absolutely.
that. Yeah, it
And if
absolutely.
you
And
have a good
everybody
relationship.
now is doing the addendum that must
got to terminate from
appraise.
USDA and convention
for that same
So
reason.
I mean, you're doing a big disservice to your seller and then to the buyer if you have priced that over market value, because it has to appraise. And then people think, oh, there's just not enough houses on the market. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to offer on that. I'm going to give full price, and then it doesn't appraise. And then you're 10 days before closing, and the seller and buyer can't agree, and it just can't work out. It all falls apart, and everybody's packed, and it's just
And your seller's
it's
heartbreaking on another
heartbreak. It's
property. And they're
awful.
probably needing to net a certain amount to.
Well, and what happens is the agents, good agents like we are, will tell them of listing a house too high, the pitfalls. But what happened is their agent doesn't prepare them that appraisal stays with that property. So you either work it out with this current buyer or you're stuck at that price forever.
I had one that the seller contacted me, and I'm the buyer's agent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm representing the buyer. Talk to your agent because it's been appraised. I mean, I knew that. That's what we have to submit the right to terminate due to appraisal, because sometimes there is some that are wanting to.
Oh yeah, we have
price it.
agents. We have agents that you're like, how did you get the price on this? Everything in the neighborhood's $111 a foot, and you got it at $131.
Well, and it has
You
to
know.
be taken with you have to be very mindful of it, because if you're talking about the situation you're talking about and what you're talking about, you've got deals terminating. This means that the buyer has spent probably about $600 on inspection. They spent about $600 on an appraisal that came in low. They've spent probably $500 on a survey. You've got your seller who's still paying all of their carrying costs.
Yeah, their monthly payments.
So it's harmful to everybody
Everyone.
involved. Yeah.
And let's be honest, none of us go to work for free. So if we're pushing clients that are never going to close, even as a lender, and I think that's where I get so frustrated with seeing people who go online and click buttons and they're like, I'm pre-approved, and then they come to us later. And it's not necessarily the buyer, but it's that understanding of if it never gets closed, then everybody's unhappy. Your buyer, your seller, you've spent time showing houses.
The problem you have is when it doesn't close, the person who gets blamed are the realtors.
and
They because we're the
You
ones
can
they can
bet.
get to. When they use use a big box lender, they can't get to them. They're nameless
Randy
and
will
they're
just send them
faceless.
to me. You'll just send them to me.
Exactly. But here's the situation. What I think about for sellers, if you're a seller, you've got to get. I'm going to wrap it up here. But when you're a seller, we can all give our 2 cents here real quick. That you want to have strong pre-approved from local lenders when your agent presents you an offer that is wrapped in a bow and ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think when you looked at the camera earlier to the buyers, I hope I'm not overspeaking, but what I would say to a seller is please don't ask your realtor to overprice your property.
Yes.
And when you say you're ready
Because
to
then you
list,
expect that.
and you hurt yourself. You sit on market, you get a negative opinion about your property from the public. When people see it sit on market for 40, 50, 60 days, everybody automatically, the mental aspect of it is what's wrong with it. And then on top of that, when you ask an agent to come list your property, please have it clean and ready. And don't expect us to create a miracle.
It's like when you
Have it ready.
hairdresser
It's-
cut your
yeah, you
hair, and
can't-
I'm not going to look like.
You got to be realistic.
Person
Trust
does.
the realtor
Yes.
with the comps. And if the realtor and you are off on the dollars and she's or he's proving to you the comps don't support what you're asking, please do not ask a realtor to overlist
The
your
key
home.
thing is real estate's worth what it sells for, not what you ask for.
Well, and if you're in a financial crisis and you need $100,000 to put down on something, don't expect a buyer to pay for your mistakes.
Yes.
Your house
Exactly.
can't oversell for your
That's a
financial
good-
decisions.
Perfect. And to buyers and to buyers out there, I want to tell you, if you're a buyer, it's a great time to buy. Interest rates are low. You can get a lot of house. You can get a house that's in good shape. but be mindful you're competing with other people.
Yes.
If you didn't grow up competing, it's one of the best things in life is to compete and win at getting an offer. So get a real estate agent that is prepared to compete and not waste your money or negotiate in such a way that wastes your money. Guys, this is Miller Homes Group, MHG Happy Hour. We're going to go down at that end. Got Denise Miller, Amy Garcia, Heidi Hitt, Linda Lewis, my daughter.
I have a name.
I know, zoning out. Introduce the rest of them here.
Brittany Morton.
Brittany Morton.
I'm Amber Bolden.
Amber Bolden. And I remembered it. I just wanted to, yeah.
Brenda White.
And we represent all of Texas for you, and our goal is really simple. We want to sell your house, or we want to sell you a house. I don't compete with my agents. I'm here in an advisory capacity. It's not about me. It's about them giving you the best service in your market today, enabling you to make your dreams come true. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next month with another edition of MHG Happy Hour.